Don't let me pull. She's going to resist against my pull. Hold. That muscle is an inhibited muscle. It's not firing like it should. It's not a strength test. She can't exercise this muscle to make it work. She can't exercise it back on. It's just like a light bulb. You could take a 60-watt light bulb and exercise it up to 100 watts. It doesn't really matter. It's like the switch is turned off. So this is like the switch has been turned off. There can be lots of reasons for this. Injury can be one of them. We respond to injury with inhibited muscles. I mean, think about it. We don't respond to injury with tightness. Tightness is a secondary thing. Tightness is the compensation. When you injure something, it stops working. It doesn't just become tight. So if this is injured, then it's shut off. Now she's going to have other muscles around the area that are going to be too tight. She might compensate and have other parts of her body that are trying to counteract what's going on here, so it's going to affect other things. But when we have these inhibited muscles, and the average new patient that comes in, we might find 14 to 20 of them. And they can all have various reasons for why they're inhibited. Unraveling the injuries and compensations to these is a really big deal. But even more important than that is the underlying problems that we can discover from inhibited muscles. We'll not only be able to unravel the injury and compensation that she's developed from this, but we'll be able to tell her if it's oxidation or inflammation, or something that relates with her blood sugar, her diet. Maybe she needs certain nutrients, maybe hormones are off that's creating ligament instability. We'll be able to tell her all that from looking at her body as a whole, looking at all the inhibited muscles, the normal patterns compared to the ones that aren't working properly. So when we have these inhibited muscles, we've got to discover why they're like that. It could be myofascial restriction in the actual muscle. It could be a problem somewhere else that this turns out to be an actual just compensation for something else going on in the body. To fix those, we do myofascial reconfiguration. So if the problem were right in the muscle, I'll be able to feel exactly where that is. I put deep pressure. It's like a deep massage. And if I work it good enough, that muscle will return to function. So in this case, we have this inhibited muscle, but from testing, we found out the problem was actually coming from her hip. And this isn't an uncommon thing. This shoulder and this hip are actually more closely related than any other pair in the body because they're tied together with their walking and our gait pattern. So there's a little tender area right here, and I'm doing myofascial reconfiguration. So I'm just working that muscle, moderate to deep amount of pressure, a little uncomfortable, but worth it. And then I can come back to this one, hold, and now that muscle's firing. So that tells us, number one, this was a compensation for something going on here. I would want to check this area out some more. I would want to check this area out some more to truly get to the bottom of this stuff. And so if it's not corrected next time I see her, then I've got to start looking at other areas of her body and other areas of her health. So we view things as two problems. There's the injury, the compensation that needs to be unraveled, but then there's the bigger issue. She should have gotten better on her own. She shouldn't have this stuff, especially if you have something chronic, that's been there for a while, or some sort of nagging nagging injury. the second problem is, why aren't you getting better on your own like our body's designed to do? We are self-healing. Our body should be recovering on its own. So sometimes we need help. We need to go through and fix all these things. But the bigger picture is, why isn't she doing it on her own? So here we have another inhibited muscle. And again, these are often related with injuries. When I say injury, though, it's not what you're thinking. Partly. It can be from a fall. It can be from an old injury where you fell a long time ago. Car accidents, things like that. But our body treats myofascial restrictions as injuries. So when you fall, you get an injury to the muscle, you get this myofascial restriction. That's one way we get them. But let's say we sit all day. We get myofascial restriction from not moving. And then our body treats those as injuries. So we have to unravel the injuries that you've had, the old injuries you've had, the problems that you've developed from maybe a desk job or things like that. Your body treats those as injuries. So when I say injury, it's a bit different, and that's what we're really unraveling, is all the things that you've done and all the things that you haven't done to keep your musculoskeletal system healthy.
That's perfect.